First off, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's been emailing us questions over the past couple months. You've given us a lot to talk about. We've had James digging through the suggestion pile, and he's picked out a good one for us today. We're going to talk about Day 1 DLC, particularly this Project $10 thing EA has started. You know the scenario. You're on a budget, so you go out and buy a used copy of a game to save a little money. You bring it home and pop it in, only to find that pieces of the game aren't actually on the disc, and you're going to have to pay more hard-earned money now to download them, just because you had the nerve to buy the game used. Kind of annoying, right? As a consumer, it seems like a pretty lame practice. Looking at it from a developer's perspective, though, I get the reasoning behind it. In fact, I would feel sympathetic for their situation if they weren't handling it so darn poorly. Let's break it down, shall we? When you go to GameStop and buy a new game for $60, only about 27 of those dollars actually go to the game's publisher. The problem is that when you go to GameStop and buy a used game, 0 of those dollars go to the publisher. Pure profit for GameStop. The game makers don't get a cent. So, while $27 per new game sold may seem pretty good at first, let's take a closer look at the numbers. These days, it's not uncommon for console games to cost in the $30 million range to make. That means if you're a publisher, you'll have to sell around 1.1 million brand new copies of the game to make the money back. Now, think about your buying patterns. How many new games do you really buy per year? What about your friends? A lot of us buy used, don't we? Unless you just really have to have the game on launch day, it's a better deal, and everyone knows it. But for the publisher, that means selling over 1 million brand new units is pretty tough. So what do publishers do to compensate? They look for ways to make sure they're getting some revenue from the people who are buying the used copies. How do they do it? DLC. Thus the birth of the infamous Project $10. For those of you who haven't heard about EA's latest plan, inside every new game EA publishes is a coupon or redeemable code that will give the buyer access to a chunk of extra downloadable content, free of charge. But the code only works once, so if you buy the game secondhand, you'll instead have to pay $10 to get those missing extras. And you know what? I don't really have a problem with that, in theory. I like roads and schools, so I pay taxes. I like video games, so I'm okay with the idea of making sure the publisher gets paid for their product. But the problem is that they're going about this like an evil empire. It's hard for anyone to feel really happy about this initiative. If you buy the game used, you feel like you're being busted by the game police for doing something wrong. It feels like they're shaking you down for that $10, and then when you do pay it, you're just left feeling ripped off. And how are you rewarded for buying the game new like a good, loyal customer? For being super excited about their game and waiting in line on launch day to give them your money? You get to fat finger in a long-ass alphanumeric code with a D-pad, and then sit twiddling your thumbs while the DLC downloads before you can play that shiny new game. I know it's not a big deal, but it doesn't really feel like much of a reward either, does it? So let's brainstorm for a minute. How could a game company make you feel great about giving them the money they deserve? Here's one idea. Charge less for the game at retail. Games a la carte. Think about it. Imagine if Modern Warfare 2 only cost $35 brand new on launch day, but you had to pay $20 to unlock the multiplayer, which was already loaded on the disc. Now, hang on, just stick with me. This way, the game costs you way less to buy at retail, and even after paying for the multiplayer, still only $55 total. You pay less money, the publisher gets more. Now, before you say anything, I know those ratios aren't ironclad, and I'm sure a professional sales analyst could put together something a little more sophisticated, but you get the fundamental idea, though. Pass the savings on. Unlockable content that's already sitting on the game disc doesn't have to be a bad thing. I mean, right now it just feels like they're trying to pull a fast one on us, but if they've already made the game cheaper to begin with, now it's just content you don't have to wait on to download. You're still paying for $60 worth of game, why make it a hassle to get a part of it? Game companies, your customers aren't screwing you over or stealing from you by buying used games. GameStop is screwing you over by not giving you any portion of that used game sales revenue. So stop taking it out on your customers. You might not be able to negotiate with GameStop, but you can sure as hell build around them. I mean, their entire used game model is an effort to build around you. I realize you have to maintain a certain level of goodwill with retailers, but I'm just saying, two can play that game. Now, there are definitely still some ways this alternative business model could be streamlined. What? Yeah, I know, but come on, we haven't even... All right, I'll wrap it up. Sadly, we don't have time to go into more details. If we did, we might talk about what other ways you might implement such a plan. For instance, multiplayer doesn't have to be the content you withhold for that unlock fee. If you wanted, you could... Oh, okay, I'm stopping. Put it down. Cut it out. This is not why I gave you that pencil. Just stop. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next week. Alice and Theus, you put that pencil down right... No, get away!